10-Minute Murder contains depictions of actual crimes. What you are about to hear is real and violent in nature. Discretion is advised. This is 10-Minute Murder.
Welcome to 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. My name is Joe, I'm the host, and thank you for being here. Now, I know you hear me say that a lot. You hear me thank you for listening to this podcast. And you might think, well, he's just saying that. He doesn't really appreciate we're listening. I have the world of words at my disposal. I can say literally anything. But right at the beginning of the episode, each and every episode, I start off by saying thank you, because I genuinely do thank you for listening. You don't have to listen to this, but I recognize that you are listening. And I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring the fact that you're listening, because it's the complete opposite. You're listening to me and I'm listening to you. Your feedback, your suggestions, your cases that you want me to cover. And this show is way different than it was when it first started. A little over a year ago when I first started doing this, I was only doing it because it was like a time killer, a hobby for me. And it's grown into something that I really, really enjoy doing. And the reason I enjoy it is because I see that people are listening and this is something that they like as well. And it honestly blows my mind that this has become as successful as it has. And when I first started the show, it was a little bit lame. I'll be honest with you. I didn't put as much time into it as I do now. And I've taken that effort on my part and mixed that with your suggestions on how to make the show better, how to make it better for the people that are listening. And I've changed it. And I'm sure it'll continue to evolve. And maybe next year at this time, I'll think, well, when I was doing the show a year ago, it was lame. So hopefully as the show grows, it will continue to improve. But again, I just wanted to start off by saying that I really do appreciate you listening. And because I rambled on too long just now, I took up all the time that I would normally be telling you to make sure that you're subscribed to 10-Minute Murder. So I can't even tell you that. I can't tell you that you should be a subscriber to 10-Minute Murder if you're coming here for the first time and you have not yet subscribed. You should go ahead and do that. I can't tell you that, so let's get to today's story. And I'll be honest, this case is long, confusing, and frustrating. It has a large cast of characters, drug dealing, an abduction, a shooting, an alleged rape, and a lot of finger pointing. It's going to be tough to cover in 10 minutes, but I'll do my best. The bottom line is that it was a senseless crime. It was committed toward someone who was likely at the wrong place, at the wrong time. This is the murder of Holly Bobo. Holly Bobo was a 20-year-old young woman living at home and going to nursing school. Other than being a cousin of country singer Whitney Duncan, Holly lived a very normal life. She lived in the small town of Darden, Tennessee. This town is small, like really super small, 2,400 people small. On April 13th, 2011, that normalcy for Holly, her family, and the entire town would get flipped upside down. That morning, Holly had been up early studying for a test for school. She said goodbye to her parents as they left for work. After studying, she gathered her things and left the house herself. At 7:40 a.m., her brother Clint was awakened and confused, seeing Holly talking with and being led into the woods by the man authorities and the family believed to be her abductor and potential murderer. Clint called his mother, who confirmed that there was no way Holly could be talking to her boyfriend and that the incident needed to be reported to police. Clint wasn't able to identify the man, but he said he was wearing camo clothing and a hat. He said the man had dark hair that stuck out from beneath the hat. It was about collar length, and that he had a very deep voice. Once police were contacted, blood was found in the garage, and a search was organized. In a small town, almost half the citizens came out and participated in looking to find Holly. Though some of her personal items were recovered in the days following the abduction, her body was not recovered until 3 years later by a couple of hunters. At this point, only partial skeletal remains were found, leaving no usable forensic evidence. It was confirmed that Holly Bobo had been shot in the head. 6 men were considered to be involved in the abduction and murder of Holly Bobo, though only 3 of them have been prosecuted. Most of the case was built on the confession of a man with an intellectual disability, and if past cases have taught us anything, it's that these types of cases and confessions are problematic. Initially, a local man was named as a suspect as he was a registered sex offender and matched eyewitness accounts of the offender's description. His house was wiretapped, but ultimately, he was eliminated as a suspect in the investigation. The first arrest in the case was made shortly before the remains of Holly Bobo were located. Zach Adams and his brother Dylan Adams and friend Jason Autry were ultimately charged with aggravated kidnapping, first-degree murder, and rape. Another two men, Jeffrey and Mark Piercy, were arrested on charges of accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence. However, charges against the Piercy brothers were dropped. Another man suspected to be involved, Shane Austin, committed suicide. It was unclear what initially led law enforcement to suspect these men, but the investigation began with the arrest of Dylan Adams on unrelated weapons charges. Following his arrest, he told police that he witnessed Bobo alive with his brother Zach at home following her abduction. He said that he had seen her sitting in a green chair at his brother's home wearing a pink shirt, the same pink shirt she was reported to have on the day of her disappearance. He told officers that Zach had been wearing camo shorts and a black shirt while he was there, and also had recorded himself raping Holly. There's been no proof that this rape occurred or that it was recorded. During the trial, it was claimed that Shane Austin and the Adams brothers had gone to the Bobo residence that morning to teach Holly's brother Clint how to cook meth. When they arrived, they said that Holly Bobo came out of the house screaming at them, so they abducted her. This story has been adamantly denied by Clint. Shane Austin was initially offered immunity in the case to help the police with information leading to the remains of Holly Bobo. This agreement was withdrawn by the district attorney when Austin was unable to help them find her. While his lawyer was in the process of gaining his immunity back, Austin committed suicide. He was found dead February 2015 in Henderson, Tennessee, while being held for unrelated theft charges. His attorney insists that he had nothing to do with the abduction or murder of Holly Bobo and caved to the pressure of the investigation. In July 2014, Jeffrey Piercy and his brother Mark Piercy were arrested and charged with accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence. They were arrested on the basis of allegations made by Jeff's former roommate, Sandra King. She said that in May 2014, Jeff showed her part of a video showing Adams assaulting Bobo, who was tied up and crying. She told police that she watched only a small clip and did not see the sexual assault. Police have analyzed over 20 phones in the case, and the video has never been recovered. Additionally, the Piercy brothers claimed to not know the others involved, so their charges were dropped. No mention of them was even made during the trials. Zach Adams was the first to go on trial. The case was largely circumstantial, with no DNA or forensic evidence. Jason Autry, the state's key witness, testified that he'd gone over to buy drugs from Zach, and that after getting high, he was asked to help dispose of Holly Bobo's body. He agreed and drove with Zach, where they planned to dump the remains in the Tennessee River. It was at this point that the two men discovered that she was still alive, and Zach Adams shot her. They feared that the gunshot would bring unwanted attention, so they loaded her back into the truck, and Autry was dropped off. Autry also testified that after the fact, Zach Adams told him that he left Holly Bobo's body at Kelly Ridge. And by the way, that is not where she was discovered, and it's unclear how her remains ended up where they were found. On September 22, 2017, a jury found Zach Adams guilty on all charges, including first-degree murder, especially aggravated kidnapping and aggravated rape. On September 23, 2017, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole and 2 consecutive terms of 25 years for both the kidnapping and rape convictions. Dylan Adams was also tried in the case. On January 18, 2018, John Dylan Adams pleaded guilty to charges of facilitation of first-degree murder and especially aggravated kidnapping. His sentences are set to run concurrently, meaning he will serve 35 years without parole. Dylan entered an Alford plea, which means that the defendant does not necessarily admit to the criminal act and maintains his innocence, but concedes that the prosecution's case may result in a guilty verdict. At his brother Zach Adams' trial, it was alleged that the state had used unethical investigation methods in order to manipulate Dylan. Dylan has a mental disability, and his family had said that he was not able to eat or drink during the time he was being interrogated until the point that he had just asked, "What do you want me to say?" There's so many parts of this story that are still unknown, and parts that only really Holly herself could answer. And unfortunately, she's not alive to do that. There have been claims of mismanagement of the investigation, as well as media coverage spreading false information. But what is clear is that even though 3 men have been held responsible for the crime, it certainly does not bring justice for the loss of Holly Bobo. That's today's 10-Minute Murder. the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. Thanks for listening today, and let me say a quick sorry for a few minutes ago when you might have heard in the background like a pretty loud bang. Well, Harper, my dog, likes to sit under my desk while I do this. She's pretty codependent and follows me around everywhere. But she was asleep, I thought, until I felt a cold nose touch my foot, which I don't have any shoes on right now. And it kind of startled me, and I moved my foot very fast, which made her move, and she bumped her head on my desk. Hey, let me take a quick moment to invite you to subscribe to 10 Minute Murder if you have not done that already. If this is your first episode listening, first of all, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you enjoyed the episode, I hope you'll consider subscribing. And when you are a subscriber to 10 Minute Murder, you don't miss any episodes. You'll get them as soon as they come out. And the best part is, when you're feeling the need to listen to some true crime, brief true crime like 10 Minute Murder, you don't have to go searching for it every time. You don't have to remember the name of 10 Minute Murder. You can just, boom, open your app and it's there. If you are subscribed, first of all, thank you. And second, tell your friends. If you've got friends that like true crime, let them know about 10 Minute Murder. Have a good night.
10 minute murder. 10 minute murder. 10 minute